All right, here you go. That's
Hello.
hello, sir. How are you? Welcome.
Thank you, Umar. How are you?
Please do not mind these miscreants on the call who have just joined us. They will not be here. They wanted to stay for the picture, and now we'll make them disappear. Disappear.
Okay.
वालेकुम वसीम भाई
Sure. Hi guys. Hi, Assalamu alaikum. How are you?
बस ठीक ठाक आप सुनाएं
All good. All good. Thank you. सारे
So,
isolation में बैठे हुए हैं.
यस
Good.
man, you look good for isolation. I'll tell you that. You look good for isolation.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
We'll get going here in a couple of minutes as usual. Wasim bhai,
Sure.
on time, no issue. You're always on time, no issue.
Absolutely. So far, so good.
Very well. We've got more than 1,000 people who registered for this call, and
Okay.
mostly because of me, of
Of
course.
course. Of course.
So we've got. So I want to know. We've got people from Ukraine.
Okay.
We had people from Amsterdam. What
Wow.
global appeal, man? Global appeal.
I suppose the whole world is struggling, so
Yeah.
everybody wants to get on whatever they can get on at these bleak times.
Very well then. For those of you who are joining us, we've got now. Wow, we've got a little bit more than my usual calls, I must say. We've got a bunch of people joining us. We've got the legend himself, Wasim Akram, with us. Wasim, you'll have to permit me to call you Wasim for the duration of this call, even though I should be calling
Absolutely,
you
Umar.
for the
Not a
duration.
problem. Not a problem.
Because we've got people, we've got some of our Arab friends joining us, people from all over the world. I sent an invitation the other day and somebody replied, said, I don't follow cricket, and this is an Arab friend of mine. He said, but Wasim Akram is a household name for us. He's been like that from the world of Dubai and Sharjah.
Hi
Um,
to everyone.
Wasim bhai, this is our webinar series, a continuation of conversations we've had over the past 8 weeks. Once
Yeah,
our world started to change and we could no longer do face-to-face leadership conversations, we moved on to these webinars where we talk about some of the different aspects of leadership, like emotional intelligence and change management and all that stuff. And I thought it would be fantastic to speak to someone who not only has seen great leadership happen to him, but also has been a part of leading some great teams. So I just want to put this in perspective for you because I know we've got people who don't follow cricket as much, but
sure.
104 tests, 414 wickets with an economy rate of 2.59, 356 ODIs, 502 wickets. What's your economy rate in ODIs? Let me see if you know. What's your
Uh, 3.9 or something, and I'm not so sure. I don't remember.
yeah? So
Just a wild guess.
just about three. Just about unbelievable, unbelievable. In test matches, you captained 25 matches. You had 12 wins. And in ODIs, your record for Pakistan is 62%, which is just up there, the very, very best in terms of your win-loss ratios. You've gotten 17 Man of the Match awards, 7 Man of the Series awards, and you've got a Hilale Imtiaz as well. You've been a little bit busy.
Yeah, I have been a bit busy. I suppose God has been kind. I've got the early breakthrough when I was very young, and of course, everybody got their talent according to what they want to do in life. It's how to prolong that talent, and I think that's where I was very lucky that I had mentors like Javed Miandad, whom I learned how to be street smart, how to think out of the box. Then I had Mudassir Nazar in the side, very experienced cricketing mind. What I learned from him over the years, how to be confident, how to go out and socialize. Obviously, if you yourself are confident, then things you do, that confidence will show in those things. That's so important. You can't be just shy person, and I suppose do well in the world. That I've very rarely seen shy people doing well. Because you have to be out in public, you have to lead the sides, and then of course Imran Khan. What I learned from Imran was talent or no talent. If you work hard, simple philosophy. If you work hard, you can touch the skies. And I think it was so important for me early on in my career to have so many mentors. And obviously, mentorship started not just when I came into Pakistan team, even before. joining the Pakistan team. In my club cricket, I had Saud Khan, I had Sadiq Khan, two of my coaches. And then even before that, this one guy, Khalid Mahmood, I'm from Mazang. Mazang is an area from inner Lahore. He was the one who actually insisted me that I should play with the cricket ball. I just wanted to play with a tennis ball on the roads. So imagine if that guy who took me to the net for about first 3 weeks to a month on his bike every day, that I get used to the system.
Unbelievable.
And I did, and I never looked back. So whenever I got the opportunity, I make sure I grab it with both hands.
And that's Wasim, we're going to talk a lot about that because we've got 3 or 4 themes that I want to cover with you. Of course, first of all, I want to ask you, from the last time I saw you in Karachi, how are you looking fitter than but Ramadan lockdown did nothing to you? Mashallah, you looking great, man.
Yeah, I think I promised myself that it'll be tough times. I knew that tough times are coming, not just Pakistan, I suppose for the whole world. I, I'm being a diabetic for 23 years. I had certain disciplines in my life. Of course, discipline is very important, and discipline you learn by time. You can't be disciplined when you're 19 or 20. I'm sorry, some people are, but I wasn't. But I learned. And I promised myself after coming out of this pandemic, I probably don't want to look like a teddy bear. I rather eat carefully, eat healthy, and of course, I do my cardio. I can't do weights because I don't have gym at home and gyms are closed. But I do my cardio. I do about 14, 13K a day every day since I've been into lockdown. That's what
Yeah,
20th of March was the last day.
you were telling me how you did 100 is it 160 miles in April?
177 miles to be exact
That's
in April, I did.
That's more than I drove my car in Dubai here. This is a fantastic. And obviously, this is again discipline, and we'll briefly talk about how you keep yourself motivated. Because when we teach leadership, Wasim, we always talk
Yeah,
about you cannot give to others what you do not have yourself. So you're never
exactly.
gonna motivate anybody around fitness unless you are taking care of fitness yourself. And it's so great to see that. Look, we've got so many things to talk to you about, and I want to make sure we cover these topics and questions. And it's a big one I want to ask you. And I've always, obviously been a big fan of you. We're from the generation that was infatuated with the image of Wasim Akram and all that you stand for. And what I'm also incredibly proud of, and we'll speak about later, is the stuff that you've done after cricket, how you've
Sure.
created an iconic brand for yourself. But let me ask you, you don't look like the kind of guy, see, who worries a lot about what people are saying, and stress. And I want to ask you, emotional resilience, your ability to stay relaxed in stress. For leaders right now, people losing their jobs, worried about uncertainty. What about stress, Wasim? What do we do about stress?
Look, end of the day, I'm also a human being. I do get stressed. Yes, I do. When people talk negative, all my career I've been through this. But what I've learned over the years, stress is not going to get me. If there's a problem, as a leader, as an individual, I have to solve it. What we do, it's not the problem. I think it's how we take the problem.
Yeah,
We worry about the problem 80%. Instead of should be spending 80% time how to solving the problem.
the
So that's where
reaction. Yeah,
the reaction to it. And I think I have compartments in my mind. So
fantastic.
something stresses me out at the time, I'll put it back of my mind. I'll come back to it later. I don't sleep on it. I don't think of it. But when I go for my runs or my walks in the morning for an hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever, that's my meditation thinking time. I think the problem, think about the solutions, the options, and that became a habit now. Every morning I go for an hour and a half and I meditate. And my meditation, not sitting on the couch, is actually to go out, walk, and run and think what do I have to do and how should tackle my problems.
So of course, we when you look at the neuroscience of leadership, you look at fitness and how it releases endorphins and dopamine and serotonin, all the hormones, which
Sure.
obviously counter cortisol, which brings stress levels down. And but one thing, I've every time I've seen you, and other people have commented this about you as well, you're just a happy guy. Like it's a happy guy saying Urdu, mein, hasmukh, right? So just happy guy,
Yeah.
always positive. Is that a bit of a do you have to give positivity sometimes, even when you're not positive yourself? Wasim?
I think my wife might differ in last 2 months probably that I'm a happy dude, but yeah, I believe if I'm positive, or whatever the problem or situation I'm going through in life, I can't just take it on myself and on my health. I just have to move on, make life simple. It shouldn't be complicated. People have different problems, different way to settle their problems or solve their problems. But make sure, end of the day, you don't want to affect your health. If you're healthy, then you'll be able to tackle everything the life will throw at you. And I think that's so important. That people say if you're mentally fit, you're physically fit. It's wrong. If you are physically fit, you're mentally fit, and you can tackle anything.
Obviously, you've gone through your maybe not as much as some of other players, but you've gone through your fitness issues in your career as well. I've got to
Sure.
ask you. I've got to ask you.
Mm.
Can you think of a time that was maybe personally or professionally, if you don't mind sharing, where you were at your lowest or you were just down? And what got you out of it? I'm just curious, it's just motivation level.
I think personally, yes, 97 when I got diagnosed that I was diabetic. Very tough times. I didn't know what diabetes was. I was only 29 years old, peak of my cricketing career, the number one all-rounder in the world. Uh, and suddenly I've been told that I'm a diabetic and I need to be on insulin. So those 2, 3 months were very, very tough for me. And I think my late wife, being a psychologist, Huma,
Hmm.
she's not with us anymore. She helped me a lot. She bought me a lot of books to read about the disease. And then I realized if I can control my sugar levels, if I get to learn this disease, then I'll be able to play for Pakistan. So it took me about 2.5 months to 3 months to get back into the Pakistan side. I just, I'm sort of a person who just never loses hope. And then, of course, in 2010, when after my retirement, my wife passed away. My two boys were 8 and 10, and it was a very tough time for me. I was lost, and then I had to just get myself together just for the sake of my boys. And now one is 22, big boy, just finished up his college last year. Younger one is 19. He's obviously back from America. He was in LA in his college. So yeah, it was very tough. But I suppose if I if I as a person can't fight or solve my own problems or my own grief, nobody will help. Nobody will do it for me. I mean, for my kids, my two boys, it was only me. And then, of course, my present wife came in, her Shanira. She has been also very positive impact of my life. What you need positive people around you. You don't want negative people around you. They pull you down. I mean, they might be your best friends. There are people in your life who pulls you down. So make sure you stay away from them.
It's interesting you said that. I was hearing you on one of the calls you had, or I think somewhere you were talking about loyalty and you're talking about trust with friends and
Yeah.
so on. And human beings, right? We are a product of our environment, right? So we become a product of our environment. And if it's a negative environment, then over time you find yourself using negative words like it can't happen, it won't happen, it'll never happen, and then and the opposite as well. And I think we've got a fantastic example in Imran Khan and what he's done, and leading an entire country
Yeah.
out of hopelessness. And from the words he used, I'm just curious, and I know you get this question 1,000 times, so maybe just
Sure.
a couple of minutes. In people talk about 92, but I think after 92 there are many occasions as well where did you have people who had more faith in you than you did in yourself? Because I think, isn't that about leadership, Wasim, where people have more faith in you than maybe you had in yourself?
I personally think the teams I played with or captained after Imran, it was very tough for me because I was fighting kind of two battles. One was on the field, and one was off the field,
Yeah, we
and I
know a
was
little
the
bit.
only one. And I was the only one. Nobody have asked me this question: that how did you survive for 10 years when there were 12 to 13 teammates were against you? So I at that stage I thought to myself, I said, look, I want to play cricket for Pakistan. And for that, if I have to perform every game, I've got to perform every game, because if they get a chance to kick me out, they
Hmm.
probably will kick me out.
Not
The
coming back.
only way, the only way I can stay in this particular team is to perform on regular basis. So that eventually became a habit to myself, and then I realized this is the only way that I can play for Pakistan for another 10 years, and I did, against all the odds. Nobody knows the story, the history behind it.
That's
Uh,
fantastic.
so, believe in yourself. And I suppose if you're leading the side, if you're leading an organization in life, you will come through some decision, easy or tough decisions. The leaders or the champions will definitely pick the tough decisions, not the easy ones. Average person, average Joe can pick up the easy decision. Picking an easy decision is not a big deal.
That's it.
Picking a tough decision is a massive deal. And leading from the front, what does that mean? Leading from the front means, if I'm a captain of for instance, a cricket team, enough we go to practice. If I go into practice, I sit in a chair, just start having banana, and tell my teammates to go run 5 laps, do 10 sprints, do 2 hour bowling, then do fielding, then do batting. They probably will do it for 2 days, 3 days. And
Yeah.
after a week, they probably will say, you know, go to hell. You can't just sit on your butt and expect us to perform. So, as a leader, as a captain, you have to perform. Everything else will follow.
Yes, I love that, right? Because by the way, I was reading the other day that in that decade from 92 to 2000, there was no better all-rounder, no better bowler in the world. I mean, I don't have the numbers with me, but something like every 20 balls you bowled or every 10, 20 runs you gave away, you picked up a wicket. Incredible numbers, right? Incredible numbers. Uh, I want to say something about authority. They say authority comes from four places, Wasim, typically, right? So authority comes from either structure, so somebody makes you the captain and you are the captain, or it comes from experience, so people listen to you because you're a pilot or an engineer longer than they've been, or it comes from what we call charisma, personality, or it comes from moral, right? So you're an honest person, people believe you, they trust you, and so on. In 92, after 92, that decade that followed, we had obviously a lot of people who later on, or even in that tenure, became captains. Right? So they obviously had big egos, right? And they obviously thought they knew what they're doing. I'm just curious, where did your authority come from? You said performance, you led from the front, and there's no doubt about that because as late as 2001, you were picking up hat tricks in test matches and so on. What was the toughest part in dealing with people who were older than you, even managing them? I think Javed Miadad played under your captaincy. Ramiz Raja, some of these guys played under your captaincy.
They did. Um, it was tough for them to accept, obviously, me being a young guy who never had a captain experience before. So it wasn't my fault that Pakistan Cricket Board announced me a captain. And when somebody says, if you want to captain your country, you'll say yes. And of course, it was a bit too early for me when I became captain. I was only 24, 25, if I remember, no experience whatsoever. Typical Pakistan cricket made me a captain, and obviously I must have made some mistakes early on, because I think my problem in the beginning was that I was captaining these senior players, and I didn't know how to deal with them as far as discipline concerned. If they would say you're leaving at practice at 10 o'clock, a couple of them will arrive at 5 past 10. You have to wait, and in a team sport or in any organization, you know how important punctuality is for everyone, even for the leader. And obviously, that's where I needed advice from my captain Imran. He was on the tour, I think, as a commentator. And I did ask him, this is a problem. I remember that you used to find people, but I have these seniors. How do I speak? What should I do? He said, well, it's a very simple philosophy. When you want to discipline the top guy, the
There's that.
whole team will follow.
Fantastic.
If you discipline the junior cricketer, fine him $200, nobody will listen to you. And I think that advice actually helped. So I did a discipline, not discipline, fine or whatever it was at the time, heavy fine it was, to a senior player. And I think after next day, everybody was on time. So that's so important, that if you want to discipline the main main guy, not the junior guy, just to make sure that you're disciplining someone because you're not sending the right message to your team.
How good is that? How good is that? So leadership is not just about, it's not just about creating, a clique of people around you where the managers get away with everything and the lower people get, the wrath. And it's
Yeah.
amazing right now, Wasim. We're seeing companies in the UAE, around the world, they're like downsizing, right? And cutting costs and running towards
So
firing people, right? And the people that they're firing are the ones that actually get paid the least. So, uska kya fayda hoga, right?
that's what that's what happens all over the world when they do redundancy काम करते हैं, they just sack the people who are hardly getting paid. They don't get sacked people who are getting million of rupees or slash dollars. So that's where the problem lies, and that's where I think the problem of the leadership in general worldwide. I mean, these are difficult times. Nobody knows and nobody knew that this is going to happen and how to tackle with it, because
That's
that
it.
there is no business, it's difficult to keep people. And I think that's where, as a leader of any organization, you got to sit down and think, okay, there's no business, how long and can sustain my company, and if I have to let go some people, probably I have to let go a couple of top people too in with the juniors. I
and
suppose
and
that
and
could be
cut
the key.
and cut my own salaries and benefits and the
Yeah,
big
that's
perks
that's
that.
what that's what leading from the front means. He can't have full salary and the full perks and sacking people around him. So
you know
chip in.
we talk about a change curve, Wasim. We talk about this kind of, the typical change happens, right? People are not ready for it. Something happens like this coronavirus, right? So people go through shock and then denial, and then there's paralysis and there's anger and there's hurt and all that kind of stuff that takes place. And then at some point, there's acceptance and healing, and people say that this will be the new normal. Um, I'm just curious to ask you, in 2003, you played that World Cup in South Africa.
Yeah, I did.
Did you know it was time to go, or were you forced out? Were you, was your own decision? Just curious what happened.
Oh, I was the highest wicket taker for Pakistan in that World Cup as well. I took the
Know
highest
that.
wicket. Yeah, and then there were a lot of elements they were against me. I don't want to name them right now, but there were a lot of elements against them in the team itself and the cricket board itself as well. And after that World Cup, I got dropped from the Pakistan team. But meanwhile, I've signed up for Hampshire just to show, I suppose, at that time to Pakistan cricket board or whoever the people at the were at the time that I can still play. But I think after playing 2 months, I was 37. I signed up for 6 months for Hampshire to play. But after 2 months, in one little small room, I called to my wife. I said, "Look, every morning I'm struggling. I don't feel like
Mm.
going to the ground. I'm feeling tired. I'm feeling lethargic. It's pain for me to wake up and go to the cricket ground and play cricket." And I think she said, "It means it's the time. It's time." And then I realized when you feel like that you don't want to go to your office, when you feel like
How
you
good is
really
that?
don't belong here, you should realize that your time is up and move on to different things.
How good is that? How good is that, right? So, because we talk about, for the past 13 years, I think, Wasim, I've delivered maybe over, maybe 40,000 people around the world, leadership
So
lectures. We talk about leadership development. And I think you've just summarized a lot of what we speak about in one sentence, where the moment you wake up and you're thinking, oh my God, I gotta go see that boss again. I gotta go
yeah,
see that office again. It's time to move, man. It's time to move. Can't do
it
it.
is exactly. I mean, that's what exactly happened to me. Over, I used to wake up stiff, and I used to stand in front of the mirror, but to brushing my teeth, and you say, "What the heck are you doing here, man? You're 37. You're playing first class cricket again, and you are in agony. You don't want to be at the. I mean, it was a great side, great county, Hampshire. They looked after me beautifully, but I wasn't enjoying the cricket. I wasn't enjoying running in every day. So I realized there and then it's time to move on. And thank God I
So,
did.
that kind of denial, or why did this happen? Because over the past little while, we've seen other sports figures who I will not name, of course, who have struggled, with when to retire. Right? They say Their beautiful saying I heard the other day. They said the beauty of attending a party is knowing when to leave. Right? It's just
Yeah. You
right.
don't
So
want to get kicked out at a party by the host,
and
do
what do
you?
you say? I want to ask you something. I want to ask you something. And I know this is
Sure.
not a Pakistani thing. Maybe this is a global thing. Do you think that people get some kind of pleasure from watching their heroes fail, or they, there's some kind of, like CNN, right? So like constant negative news, right? So people want to hear negative things about their heroes. It just makes them feel better. What do you think about that?
Uh, I think there are certain kind of people who want they're not their heroes. Any top-notch
Nah.
guy to see that if he fails, because they probably can relate that he's also a human being, he can fail. Unless you're Roger Federer or Jahangir Khan, these
Hmm.
guys very rarely fail, or Ronaldo, I suppose nowadays. Just a natural human psyche. If you're successful, a lot of people around you or people are not around you, they want you to fail just to probably feel safer and feel that the other person is also human. But I suppose I'm a different person. I don't want to see anyone to fail. Sometimes I'm also human. Sometimes I get not jealousy, but sometimes the person, if I don't like and if he's not doing well, I feel good for a split second, and then I come back to
Hmm.
my senses. I
Hmm.
said, I talked to myself. I said, that's not a good feeling to have. You got to learn to control that feeling. When somebody's not doing well, you shouldn't feel kind not happy, but you shouldn't feel good about it, because that person must be going through a lot physically and mentally.
Love your honesty, and I know there's people who probably don't understand Urdu or Punjabi, but I have to say this. ਕਿਸੇ ਨੇ ਉਸ ਦਿਨ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਜੀ ਸਾਡਾ ਮਸਲਾ ਹੈ ਪਾਕਿਸਤਾਨੀਆਂ ਦਾ ਕਿ ਅਗਰ ਮੇਰੇ ਕੋ ਵੀ ਮਰ ਜਾਏ ਦੂਜੇ ਕੋਲ ਵੀ ਮਰ ਜਾਏ ਮੈਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਦੁਆ ਕਰਾਂਗਾ ਮੇਰੀ ਦੋ ਹੋ ਜਾਏ ਮੈਂ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਉਹਦੀ ਮਰ ਜਾਏ right.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
my apologies for those who don't understand Punjabi, but in the spirit of Lahoriness, I had to share that with Wasim. And it's curious, it's interesting because in your career we find examples of that. In your career we find examples of you thriving with your bowling buddy Wakar Yunus,
Yeah.
because you almost, yeah, you saw him do well, but that motivated you to do better.
Instead of hoping and praying and thinking that Bakar should get 5 wickets the next game, I thought, okay, leaders are people who, under pressure and under stress, can motivate people. Instead of hitting the wall, they can motivate people from that pressure. So I used to say, okay, Bakar got 5 wickets, I'll get 6 in second game, and that's what exactly. Excuse me. And it was a healthy competition. I made it into a competition,
Yeah.
and so did Bakar. If Wasim is getting 5 wickets, he wants to get 5 wickets in the next innings or next game. So that's how we used to play with each other, instead of being negative that he shouldn't be getting any wickets at all. I think that's why it worked for both of us and the Pakistan team. We weren't jealous of each other. We were jealous of each other, maybe on and off, but mostly we just wanted to get more wickets than the other one.
And isn't that a lesson for managers and employees, right? So if you are, for example, if you're a customer service or if you're a salesperson and you're watching this and you're thinking, well, why does this salesperson do better than me? Well, how about doing a bit of a competition? Because then the organization does well, right? When
Yeah,
you compete, Pakistan did well. When you guys were competing, I think there was a
exactly.
time where in the late 90s, I mean, we were 99 World Cup, Asim, we were almost there, man.
Yeah,
Almost there.
almost there. It is one of the worst days of my cricketing career. Imagine a captain who qualified for the finals, won against almost every team in the World Cup, and then couldn't even. I mean, we couldn't even perform. I mean, the game was over before lunch, so that definitely was one of the worst games in my career.
I hate to
I
ask
mean,
you.
winning.
I
Yeah,
hate to
yeah.
ask
Please,
you, but in the
please go
spirit of,
for it.
um, would you do anything differently? Would you bowl first?
No, I'll still bat first. There's a reason. I can give 1,000 excuses because I was there.
Hmm.
People weren't there. Because first of all, Pakistani arrived at 1 o'clock. Quite a few friends of mine complained, "Yaar, you finished the game too early. We weren't even there." I said, "Game started at freaking 10. Who comes at 2 o'clock?"
Oh,
So, in the whole World Cup, if you pick up the record, you see every game, most of the games, even on lush green wickets, we won the toss and we batted. Reason? You don't have to be a rocket scientist. You just have to have a cricketing brain. The
Hmm.
reason that our strength was bowling, we had six bowlers in our squad. Myself, Shoaib Akhtar, Azhar Mahmood, Abdul Razak, four seamers, and then of course Saklan Mushtaq. So we had the best bowling attack in the world. That was our strength. Runs on the board, we can defend. So that was the theory. Believe me, I wasn't the only one who made a decision. It
Yeah.
was a collective team decision. No captain can make decision on his own that whether he want to bat or bowl. You involve your vice captain, you involve your coach, a couple of senior players are involved there as well. So it's
But
all
what I liked is how did not throw anyone under the bus when we lost
no,
and said it wasn't my
no,
decision, it was the coach's decision.
no. I mean, we are winning during the World Cup. No one complained, and then
Yeah,
suddenly you lost the World Cup final. Everybody complained. The so-called critics that
yeah,
on a seaming wicket you won the toss and you batted, and they forgot we won the toss against West Indies, the very first game in Bristol. We got one 230 or 223. Won that game. Then we won against when we batted against Australia.
yeah. I remember that. Yeah,
Good game, got 270 odd, won that game. So a lot of games we won the toss and batted. That was our strategy during the whole World Cup, but unfortunately it didn't happen in the finals. So but end of the day, guys, remember it's a game of cricket. Somebody has to win, somebody has to lose, and I can understand as long as any team fights, it should be okay. And that was the lowest part of my cricketing career as a cricketer, not as a captain even, as a cricketer, that we didn't even pitch up.
I loved it because they say you learn more from your failure. Say failure is a better teacher than success.
I
Failure is a
mean,
is a better teacher than success.
it's really nice when you read it, but when as an individual you're going through it, it is tough. It really
Yeah,
is.
exactly.
It really
So
is. Nobody
interesting.
wants to fail, Umar.
Interesting you say that, right? And that's why I started by asking you this, because right now in the UAE, here in the GCC, the Gulf countries, I get a feeling that inshallah Pakistan, hopefully so far so good, and in West we've got people from Canada on the call with us, from Western Europe. It just seems like people are so nervous, anxious, worried about what this is going to do to their financial situation, God forbid their health, and their jobs. I just wonder if you can share maybe a couple of words, if people who are worried and nervous about what might happen, all the times you were sitting in your hotel room, worried about whether you were going to be able to perform or not. What did you tell yourself, man?
If worry is going to help the problem, then believe me, I'll be worried 24/7, 365 days a year. You get worried, you try to solve it. It's not in your control. When things are not in your control, there's no point worrying about it. It's easier said than done. I would just go with the flow, see what happens. I can imagine people probably will thinking what will happen in 3 months, financial
Yeah,
problems. But I suppose you got to plan it. You got to think, okay, what do I have to plan? What sort of food I should have? What should I? And planning is so important. You can't just pitch up to a meeting without planning,
that's
or
it.
to a cricket game, or to office meeting without a planning. And the answer I never liked, I still don't like, that I don't know. That
Mm.
answer I don't like. It's knowledge is everywhere. It's on your phone nowadays. The answer of that I don't know is not good enough. But yes, be strong. uh, Remember that you're not the only one who's going through this stress. The
Yeah,
whole world is going through this stress with you together. And I suppose just wait, don't worry about it. Be physically fit, try to be physical active. Don't
that's
put
it.
on weight, because that will depress you if you put on weight. And obviously, we are going to a holy month of Ramadan, and at iftari time, try to have healthy iftari. Of course, samosa, pakoras, and all this part of our culture, I understand, but that's not going to help.
Wait, don't say
Help.
that, man. We're gonna lose half of our viewers. You start. You start.
I think if they keep on having samosa pakoras, we lose them anyway. It's better that way to lose them on the
we're,
line.
we're going to lose them anyway. I got three questions for you from me. Then I'm going to have just a couple of our partners join us for a couple of calls, and then we'll move towards this. Again, I so many of these interviews, Wasim, I do. It's just always refreshing to see the honesty, the enthusiasm you bring. And which leads me to my next question. So here you are. You're at the top of your game. You've retired from cricket. You know, everybody loves you. Most people love you. Most people love you.
Yeah,
Right?
most.
And exactly. And then you got to go outside your comfort zone. You got to go do this commentary thing. Because you want to talk about, did you have to go way outside your comfort zone to do this commentary bit? And what did you learn in that time?
Are you back?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you now. You pause for a second. I can hear you now. Please ask the question again.
No, I was just asking. So here you were, the top of the world, and then all of a sudden you have to transition from that to commentary, which was outside your comfort zone. I can't imagine you would have done much
Well,
commentary before that. So I'm just thinking,
yeah.
because we're talking about times of change, and people are going to have to change and come outside their comfort zone. You want to talk about how that change was?
Obviously, I was very stressed as an individual that what will I do after I retire? Like any other human being would. When you're 37, you're retiring from a sport you loved and you recognize worldwide. And again, planning, homework. I spoke to my wife. I said, "What can I do?" And a couple of my friends, "What can I do after cricket?" Business, I don't think so. I'm a businessman because I have no idea. I don't have the patience to sit in an office and do the business. And then I said, the only thing I know to my wife, and we discussed, the only thing I know is cricket. So what can I do around cricket? Coaching, maybe not. You need a lot of patience. You need a lot of organization, and coaching is. I'm good at mentoring, but not coaching. So I said no. And then we thought about commentating. I said, yeah, but my vocabulary and my pitch. How do I learn commentating? And she said, don't worry, you'll get to it. And then meanwhile, while I was captain, I was just started working with ESPN Star at the time. They were based in Singapore, massive TV company. ESPN and Star Sports merged together. So they offered me a contract straight after. And the contract they offered me, it was a reasonable, very good contract money-wise, because while playing for Pakistan, you were making money, reasonable money, but not like money you can really live off. So, but I said, look, he said, don't worry, we'll teach you. So then they they asked me after about 6 months, they took me to a couple of commentary stints to Australia. I was shy, I was camera shy, I didn't know how to explain. So then they offered me to come to Singapore. They said, we'll pay you as well. You come to Singapore and learn for 3 months, presenting, scripting, obviously editing a little bit, and all this thing. I said, Singapore 3 months on my own. But I said, I always believed if I
Love it.
want to do something, I got to work at it. Nothing comes easy. It was a new career. It was something very different, something related to things I knew, cricket, but it was totally behind the scenes. And then I spent 3 months in Singapore. I was working about 10 hours from 2 till 10, 12 at night,
Fantastic.
learning all this. And then I learned from, they put me, after about 2 weeks, they put me straight on program called Sports Center, live with my co-host Poonam Sharma, and it
Mm.
was all on teleprompter, and it was
Mhm.
in Roman Hindi, not even Roman Urdu. So I am not good at reading Roman Urdu or Roman Hindi. I must have made a lot of mistakes, but my bosses at the time, Hugh Bevan was there, Kaushik Basu, all these guys, they believed in me. They believed that I could get better. And within a month, after 2 months, I was good at it. I knew how to control my voice. I knew how to be excited when the things are going on, and I knew what my limitations were. Remember, you should know what your
Nice,
pluses are and
fantastic.
what your positives are. You can't just do everything all the time. Stick to your speciality and work on it. I realized my speciality is expert on bowling. Talk about details, talk about what bowler is trying to do, talk about what bowler should be doing, and of course, give solutions. In our culture, we very rarely give solutions. We criticize a lot. So
Point out the
that's what,
problem.
yeah, and that's what I think. I realized that give the solutions, and so far that's why I'm still an expert as far as as a commentator concerned. You have a lead commentator and you have an expert, and I'm the expert. That's my forte now.
It's amazing listening to you, and we've grown up with you, right? So we've grown up watching you, and so on. So many people over the years have spoken, as ego, and people talk about athletes' ego, and so on. It was always impressed me. Even the time we've met face to face and now on these calls. And I hope people can see this. The genuineness and there's just the down to earthness in what you're saying, which is whether you are a cricketing legend or not, and it doesn't get bigger than this, guys. This is the Tiger Woods, the Michael Jordans of cricket here that we're talking to. It didn't matter. You still had to work, put in those hours,
From
learn.
scratch. From scratch. It was tough. Imagine me, a cricketer, a sportsman who, was disciplined on in his sports, but never listened to anyone off the field, and suddenly have to sit for 10 hours in the office. First week was so painful for me to just sit on one chair and learn, I mean, in ESPN Star, my colleague was next table, literally next table. Instead of just saying, "Hey, Wasim, kya, what's up?" He was used to write me a mail. Let's have coffee. I said, why can't you just freaking ask me? He said, we don't. We just write mails. So learning all that was also part of the system. So credit to all my bosses who are not, I'm not working for ESPN Star anymore, but I learned a lot from them. They invested a lot of time and money into me, and because I wanted to. And I was in Bangladesh commentating. I did Women's World Cup. I did under 19 World Cups. They asked me, I said, I'll do everything because I wanted to learn. I wanted to, be good at what I do. And like you said, unless you put the hard yards, and success don't come easy. Remember, fluke once in a while, but fluke will never last forever.
Yeah, like, we heard people say, it's all the hours when nobody's watching, right? When no Jeffrey Boycott, I think at one point said that, when nobody's watching, those empty stadiums, he said when there's two people and a dog watching, it's the hours and hours of practice that you put in, and then the lights turn on, and all of a sudden you're in front of 100,000 million people, and people say, oh, he makes it look easy. Well, he only makes it look easy because he was doing all of this, in the nets by himself.
He was working his butt off.
Exactly.
That's
People
why.
don't see that. Look, I want to ask you, we're going to have a little bit of fun, right? And by the way, we've got, hundreds of questions coming, guys. I apologize. There's no way.
No problem.
We're going to have a little bit of fun, okay? We're going to do a quick kind of a rapid fire thing where I'm going to take the name of cities, people, could be anything, and you have to tell me the first word that comes to your mind, okay?
Sure.
The first word that comes to your mind. Let's have some fun. What's the first word that comes to your mind when I say Gaddafi Stadium, Lahore?
Historic to me because the name and of course the stadium, Gaddafi Stadium. The first time I played, when I entered Gaddafi Stadium, being a Lahori guy in a camp in '84, it was like dream come true for me. It was like, I was so excited I couldn't sleep for 3 days. So historic.
Okay. What's the first word that comes to your mind when I say Muhammad Asif?
Very, very talented. He rocked the bowling. He rocked the world with his bowling, definitely. I mean, Kevin Peterson recently said he was the most difficult bowler he ever faced. The reason he was difficult, because he used to bowl close to the stumps, and he used to use his wrist subtly, in swing, out swing. And this you don't see nowadays as much like Asif used to do. He was bowler who used to bowl cricket ball off the seam, off the pitch. That's what he was good at.
Yunus Khan.
Yunus Khan, sheer hard work.
Yeah.
I have a story with Yunus Khan in 2019, 2001. We were touring West Indies. He was just a junior kid. And obviously, I was a senior. Moin Khan was captain. I was a senior cricketer. I had a suite on the golf course. So my balcony or my window was a big balcony opened up on the golf course. And 6 o'clock in the morning, I used to hear this knocking in the bat every morning. I mean, I heard it for 2 days. After third day, I screamed. I said, Yunus, I'm gonna kill you, man. And he sprinted, he ran. So he used to practice with Bidahatullah Vasti, I think, 6 o'clock in the morning on his own for a couple of hours every day before going to the practice at 10. So that's Yunus Khan. He was so focused, hardworking, physically fit, mentally strong. But I saw it early on when he came in. I realized then this boy will go to places any day.
Oh, and he did. Most fourth innings centuries.
Hundreds.
You know what? We're gonna try to get Yunus Khan on the call as well. Maybe talk to him about resilience and playing
Yeah,
under pressure.
yeah, he's the right man.
Okay, well, two more.
Yeah.
Umar Akmal.
Umar Akmal, I suppose, talent wasted. I
Hmm.
mean, I remember when I saw him first time, he's got 100 against New Zealand on his debut in Test cricket. He came, I thought he's going to rock this cricketing world with his batting. And I think his batting is okay. It's off the field tactics. The reason I think he hasn't evolved himself off the field, you know, his choices he made with his friends or we all partied, man. Thank
Mhm.
God there weren't any. Thank God there weren't any mobile phones when we played cricket.
Yeah,
He,
yeah.
he
No
wouldn't have
Twitter,
lasted.
no Twitter
I would.
then.
I wouldn't have lasted a month, or our team wouldn't have lasted a month. So Umar Akmal should have realized it's the technology world. There are mobile phones everywhere. People take pictures. People make videos, and of course, I think the main problem with Umar Akmal was his white shoes. Ah.
Can't go far with white shoes, man. Can't go far with white shoes. You know what's going to happen, huh? We're going to get a lawsuit, on our consultancy now. No, listen. Okay. One more. Your friend, Shoaib Akhtar.
Shoaib Akhtar, as far as his bowling concerned, I mean, he was definitely one of the fastest bowlers I played with or played against. He was sharp. Uh, I mean, nowadays, obviously, Shebi is gone tech happy, as we call it.
Yeah, he's a superstar now.
Right?
He's got like 2 million followers.
I believe so. So he's enjoying it. He's worked hard on it as well. You know, whatever you say about him, what he does on his YouTube channel, but he worked hard. I mean, opening up a YouTube channel, you have to be there twice a day at least, every
Yeah.
day. It's a tough job, and I reckon he's done well for himself. So good luck to him.
Look, guys. Well, actually, I'm going to have one of my partners come in and ask you a question. But while that happens, I wanted to mention something. We talk about, that's why I asked you, Shoaib Akhtar, and we spoke about business and so on. Look, now, as part of our consultancy, we've obviously over the years helped businesses grow, leaders look at what are the best ways in which we can motivate people and develop people and so on. Two things I picked up from what you said. Number one, even in these times when you mentioned Singapore, going to Singapore and developing yourself. So all those leaders and managers right now who are listening to us and are thinking times are tough, I don't want to invest in training and learning and development. Please remember, now that just people are sitting at home, this is the time to develop them. Otherwise, they're going to get busy,
Exactly.
and then you're going to say they're too busy.
Yeah, give them tasks, tell them how to evolve, how to improve, instead of just sitting and doing nothing.
We're going to have one of my partners, Yasir, if you want to come join us on our call. I know people are just jumping to ask questions. Yeah, I mean, I've lost so many friends this week just because I had to stop people from coming on the call. Oh, we don't want this to happen. Wait. I want to see my inbox. Yasir, if you're going to be with us, you can join now. And one more thing I'll mention, guys, and I'll mention it again at the end. One of the things we've had people come talk to us about is how, because of, they're worried about their jobs. If you want help with starting a side business or a small business or something like that, this Thursday at 4 p.m. Pakistan time, I'll mention that again at the end. We're doing a session on kind of how do you create an online profile for yourself.
Okay.
Right? So
okay,
how do you, for example, like these, remember those old CVs, handwritten resumes?
Yeah.
You need those video profiles, you need a web page. So whether you're going to start a side business or you're going to look for other work, you got to have an online profile. We're going to talk about that. But before we do that, here is Mr. Yasir Gerrit. Mr. Yasir Gerrit of Gadlang Management Consultancy. Sir, you have your opportunity now to ask a question. You have to unmute yourself, please. Go ahead, Yasir.
Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum, Wasim bhai.
Assalamu alaikum, Yasir. How are you?
Good, very good. First of all, I would like to thank you on behalf of Gadlang and ATH to pull out time for the call.
Not a problem. Thank you.
Like Umar mentioned, and then there are tons of questions being written down in the chat box. Similarly, I've got another thousands of questions running in my mind at the moment. But I'll try to stay closer to the topic. You've done coaching for teams for PSL and IPL. How easy or difficult was it, or it still is, for you to manage players coming in from different part of the world with different culture, different mindset, different language? How do you manage them and how do you motivate them?
It's not that difficult. I suppose when you are coaching or mentoring a cricket team, mostly all the players they come from, they come from very good space. They want to do well. They want to learn. They are young. They want to win, of course. And but as a mentor slash coach, I go through a lot. During a cricket match, my heart is beating fast, cold. Sometimes I feel cold. Sometimes I feel sweaty when under pressure. So that's where my problem lies. Is but I think you can only motivate these kids, talk to them individually, not collectively. Okay, as a team, you talk collectively about the opposition, and then you need to spend time with them individually, what they like, what they don't like. Make sure they trust you, make sure they come to you if any problem. And I think that's what I learned over the years, mentoring teams or coaching teams, that make sure they're comfortable around you and they can trust you and they can discuss any problem with you. You should be like their elder brother. And I think that's helped a lot. And in sporting world, I don't know about business world, but in cricketing world, this happens a lot, that you treat them individually according to their strength and weaknesses.
And it's
Sure,
funny how
as
you
in
say that.
that.
It's funny you say that because all these guys, Saklan Mushtaq, Abdul Razak, Azhar Mahmood, who are all those other guys that all they do is talk about you. Just like you talk about Imran Khan, all they do is talk about what you did for them. Even Shoaib Akhtar yesterday was doing that, no?
Yeah, I think I wanted these play. I realized these youngsters, whoever comes and plays for Pakistan, they're good enough. I realized these guys can win games for Pakistan, and if I'm captain or no captain, the Pakistan will win. So when they were when there was when wickets were falling, I used to give ball over to Shoaib Akhtar, to Azhar at times, to Razak and to Saklan, that they should get wickets. And the more wickets they get, the more confidence they'll get. And when the chips were down, I used to grab the ball. I said, okay, I'll bowl 2-3 overs, probably get a wicket, and then you come back. So maybe that's why they respect me, and that's why I learned from my seniors as well. Credit to my seniors who taught me this, how to convey, how to pass on your experience, whatever you learn on this field, to these youngsters.
Thank you for that. Usman Alam, the managing director for ATH, very important, a very good friend of mine and ATH. Otherwise, I'll get kicked out of the office if we don't take this question, Wasim. Go ahead, Usman.
No, I won't take much time. Assalamu alaikum, Wasim bhai.
Assalamu alaikum, assalamu alaikum.
Just a quick one. What's one leadership skill or you learned from your mentor, leader Imran Khan? Like one just takeaway thing.
I think what I learned from my leader early on, Imran, Javed, both these captains, were to give your players confidence, especially when the chips are down. For instance, I'll give you an example. 92 World Cup, Inzamam wasn't doing well with the cricket bat. I mean, he wasn't getting runs. The last game, I think, against New Zealand, he didn't got enough runs. He was down. And on the plane, we were traveling to Christchurch to Auckland. He was sitting next to Imran, and nobody wanted to sit next to Imran, our captain, because if you nodded off next to him, he would have really had a go at you. Especially a youngster sleeping right next to Imran Khan, not a good sign. And Inzi loved sleeping in his off time. So Imran, knowing Inzi's psyche, he said, Inzi only played one shot other day, a previous game, and hit a beautiful shot. He said, Inzi, that 4 you hit, what a shot that was. For me, it was short of the tournament. It was for me short of the tournament. And instead of saying, Inzi, you're not playing well, hope you play better tomorrow against New Zealand semi-final, he said, the one shot you played yesterday against that particular bowler, for me, that shot was the best in the tournament. And that indirectly gave Inzamam a lot of confidence. And the next day, he won man of the match. He won the semi-final for Pakistan on his own. So that's what I learned from Iran. Always give confidence to people you think can matter and can perform for you.
Thank you, Wasim.
I know you're slightly busy these days, and you've got other calls as well. I'm conscious
Yes,
you've got a
sir.
call in a few minutes as well. Look, on behalf of Gadlang Management Consultancy and ATH, obviously, our area of expertise is accounting and tax and audit and VAT and of course leadership development and soft skills. That's the stuff we do. I cannot tell you, number one, how thankful we are for your time, but also the candid, open, relaxed way, Punjabi way in which you speak to us.
No, I hope I really enjoyed it, Umar. I hope people who have listened to us, I hope they've learned something from my experiences. It was something very different, and I really enjoyed myself. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And guys, for those of you who are watching, as I wrap up, this is a part of a webinar series we have. For those of you who've registered with us already, you'll be getting an email from us for the next session we are doing, which I briefly mentioned. If you're looking at starting your own business, you're worried about your jobs, join us this Thursday, May 14th at 4 p.m. Pakistan time, 4 p.m. Dubai time, my apologies. Write us an email. I'll get Mariam at Gadlang to write the email in the comments box. If you want to join us for that session, it'd be a pleasure to have you as we talk about how to build your own online profiles and manage a side business. Wasim bhai, I'm going to ask you to hang on for 15 seconds as I hang up with the YouTube. We're going to go off YouTube. Once again, for all of those who've joined us for our call, thank you so much. I hope you've enjoyed leadership lessons from a legend, Wasim Akram. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Wasim bhai.
All right.